2 weeks ago. We'll try to finish it in about 45 minutes. But yeah, there's going to be the grand parking program. I'll assume this audience here. So it's a bit of a vacuum. But I need to say because of the mic. So as we're discussing, Namuthunam essentially is a prayer of all the Lord's virtues. So essentially what we've gone through is almost like adjectives or adverbs describing who our Tirthankars are. So we stopped at Chakku Dayanam, and just to summarize where we last stopped, Chakku Dayanam essentially means, Chakshu means chashma. So chashma means eyes, to see. So essentially what you are trying to describe is that the Lord, they give us inner discrimination. So eyes is fine, but we have to use our physical eyes to do something good things. So let's use our eyes to read good books, not to misuse our eyes. But on the other side, from a soul's perspective, the idea is to use our inner discrimination, what is called wisdom. And once when you use that properly, then that will sort of take us forward. The kind of picture sort of at the bottom shows that when anyone meditates, essentially they're closing their eyes. One makes you wonder what are they doing, but essentially they're contemplating, they're thinking. So that's essentially they're thinking, how can I improve myself? How can I become better? As opposed to often if you go to the in the tubes, you'll see people doing their makeups and sort of trying to look at the body. So the idea is physically you look at yourself body, but when you have the inner discrimination, you're looking at the body and the soul. So now the next is Magga Dayanam. So apna Bhagwan je che Mag ekle marg, and marg means path. So our Tirthankars are who show us the path to salvation. Now it's very interesting to see that if you look at the previous two slides, it started with Abhay Dayanam. If you want to undertake any journey, the first thing you need to have is fearlessness. And then if people are doing space program, one has to have that fearlessness. Okay, we can reach moon, we can reach Mars. So first of all, there has to be no fear. After there is no fear, then you need to see where are you going. And only then will the path take you to your destination. So even the position of Magga Dayanam is in a way very strategic. It's coming after Abhay Dayanam, Chakku Dayanam and Magga Dayanam. If you want to embark on a journey, first of all you need to know that on that journey there is going to be no fear and you are going to be able to see pretty well, and then the path will take you to your destination. And you know, when someone is totally devoted to the Lord, it doesn't matter whether the path is up, whether the path is down, or whether the Lord is in the jungle. Wherever God is, or where the Lord is, you just want to follow the path. So essentially it's a way of submission. Hey Bhagwan, tame mane mark dikhado cho. Like if you are in this country here, we do not have sadhus here. Now we have got the scriptures. So scriptures are the path to us. So no matter what we have available to us, we make the most of it and follow the path which the Lord has shown to us. The next one is Sharan Dayanam. Now if you look at Mangli College, it also comes quite frequently. Chattari Sharanam, Arihanta Sharanam, Siddha Sharanam. So Sharan means grantors of protection. So if you suppose you type into Google, who is able to protect me? Google will not be able to give you all the answers. But if you ask anyone who is in a spiritual minded, if you ask them what will they say? Dev, Guru, Dharma. So I've got the shelter, I've got the protection of my Dev, of my Guru and my Dharma, and through their blessings I'm able to embark on my spiritual journey. If you look at when you're a child, we take the protection of our parents. If in marriage, it's a spouse who gives us protection. When you have a disease, it's a doctor. In any disputes, if you go to the court of law, you'll have a lawyer. But essentially in the spiritual journey, it's the Lord's words, the scriptures, the agams, the gurus. And that becomes very important for us on a spiritual journey. So that's Sharana Dayanam. Now, it's very interesting. This lady, in the olden days, they take all the seeds and then they make flour out of it. Now let's imagine there are all these small seeds. What happens when they get between the two slabs of stones, they get crushed. But if there are a few of those seeds which actually land on the handle, and if they are on the top, no matter if the lady is just going to be turning the spindle round and round, but those seeds which are right on the top, they're not going to get crushed. They just keep on moving. So essentially what happens is in the sansar, in this sansara chakarma, most of us are getting crushed with all this ego, with all the kashais, with everything else. If you take the shelter of the Lord, then you're right on the top, and no matter how much you're being turned around, you're going to be protected. So that's giving an analogy that I don't want to be crushed in these worldly allurements. If I get the assurance, the protection of the Lord, if I'm a seed, if I can get on the spindle, and even no matter how much the lady turns, I'm going to be protected. I won't get crushed. Even if you look at this nice CD by Hey Ram, Tu Hi Mata, Tu Hi Pita hai, Tu Hi Radha, Tu Hi Shyam. So Bhagwan ne ye kitna tamari devotion che, you are my father, you are my mother, you are everything to me. And that's kind of the devotion which we have for the Lord. Bohi Dayanam. I think it's a very important word, Bohi Dayanam. If you look at on the top right, Lokasma Ganivala Vache, Kitti Avandi Maya, J. Lokasutama Siddha, Aruka Bohi Labham, Bohi. Even in Uvasakram Sutra, Bohi. So Bohi is like Buddhi, Apna Gujarati ma ke Buddhi. And Buddhi means mind, wisdom. So Bhagwan Deji Apna Tirthankars, they are the ones, and in a very broader sense, Bohi means a seed of right faith, what we call the Samyak Tva. So that's essentially what's the Bodhi. The firm determination to be on the path shown by the Jinas. So if you have the Samyak Darshan, which is like the right faith, then with the right knowledge, you can then follow the right conduct. The Raja Kumarpal, apne aarti kare che Raja aarti utai Raja Kumarpal, it's written in the scriptures that he said that if I had the choice between two things, the sovereignty of the entire universe at the expense of a religion, or being a pauper, but with a devotion deep down in my heart, which one would I choose? And obviously the answer was, I'm willing to give up my sovereignty, but I don't want to lose your shelter. Bohi Dhyanam is so important that if you go to India and if you go to any of these sadhus, sadhvis, or any spiritual leaders, if you bow down to them, what are the blessings they're going to give you? They're going to say, okay, Sukhi Thao, Yedamata, Dharmala. So that's the kind of the blessings which any of the spiritual leaders will give you. So Dharmala. And Dharmala essentially means, okay, no matter who you are, where you are, I'm now giving you the blessings that may you get dharma, may you get religion, may you get the sort of right faith, and then progress on your path. So the Bohi is very, very essential. It's very important that essentially, and this cannot come through someone else. It has to be sort of you cannot tell your child or children by encouraging them that seeds are going to be sown by themselves. If you look at a marriage is a union of two souls. Whereas in Bohi Dhyanam, it's me, my soul. That essentially it's a very simple concept. When people say what is Samyak Tva, what is the right faith? In the most simplest form, it's a recognition that who am I? Ko hum. I am not the body, but the soul. And we all sort of say that over here, it's kind of lip service. But to really and genuinely understand that, and to have that firm determination during our ups and downs of life, maybe we become sick, or maybe we become very successful. But to have that constant that, yes, I am the soul and not the body, that essentially is the key, the key part to this. So in a marriage, there's a union of two souls. But in Bohi Dhyanam, when you have the right faith, essentially it's me, my soul. And then there's music. I mean, there was a very nice, I was looking internet, me, my soul and jazz. So once when you are totally immersed in your soul, then there's music all around. You are, Guru Maharaj Masta, he's in his own world. So when people are really engrossed in their true Atma, you can see people meditating for hours and hours. It makes you wonder, what are they meditating on? How can someone meditate for so long? And that essentially is the divine romance. So the Bohi Dhyanam is really the key. Dhamma Dhyanam. कि आपका प्रभु जैसे धर्म Dhyana. Now if you go to an optician can give you spectacles, but he cannot make you read. Reading has to be done by yourselves. Dharma is available to all of us. Agams, scriptures, Guru is available to all of us. but we need to take the step forward to follow the path. So essentially saying Dhamma Dayanam, you've shown us a path, but please give me the strength so that I can follow the path. Now Dharma essentially has got many meanings. Dharma means religion, as we all know. Dharma in the true sense also means the true nature of anything. So if you have what's the nature of water? It's coolness. So that's the real nature of water. What's the nature of flower? Giving out fragrance. Nature. So the true nature of any substance is known as dharma. And from a different perspective, from a metaphysical point of view, dharmastikaya. So I don't know if some of you have done the foundation course, you must have come across that there are 6 essential realities what Jainism believes, and dharmastikaya is one of them, which is the auxiliary cause of motion. I won't get into the detail here, but that's another meaning of dharma. Dhamma desayanam. So dhamma is dharma, and deshna. Deshna means preaching. So you are the ones who is preaching the religion to us. So when Bhagwan actually attains Keval Gnan, that's the only time he starts preaching. Bhagwan Mahavir, when he took Diksha, for 12.5 years, he did not preach. He kept mostly silence. He had no right to preach to others. Only at the time when he got Keval Gnan, when he then knew that now I've got ultimate knowledge, that's the first time he started preaching. Until then, he was totally silent. And then he meditating for 12.5 years. So here is a nice picture of a samosara. So what we believe is, once when Bhagwan gets Keval Gnan, then Devs and Devi, wherever he goes, they create this magical kind of platform for the Lord to preach. And what we believe in the scriptures, that the Lord faces a certain direction, and through the power of the Dev, they create different images in the 4 other directions. So if Bhagwan Mahavir is standing, sitting and facing this crowd here, there will be another Bhagwan Mahavir kind of a picture on this side, on this back side, and on the right side. So there will be 4 images of Bhagwan, and he's then preaching. So if people are sitting all around, and that's very easy for us to believe from a scientific point of view. I mean, right now someone's giving a talk right now, and you can have a projection in different places. If someone's here, we know that this lecture could be through YouTube or through Skype, anything could be projected elsewhere. So that is still possible at that time. That Bhagwan is sitting in one direction, and he's sitting under a shok tree, and then angels, animals, and everyone's coming to listen to his preaching. So when we have the words of the Lord, which are now into the scriptures, to us that's the greatest antivirus. After Dr. Pastor Jay, virus what we need an antivirus. After software, we need an antivirus. So the words of the Lord can be considered as to be antivirus. There's so much pitfalls we have in our life, but if we now start getting the right message from the Lord, they're inspiring to us. It's like the software for us. This is human hardware. But what motivates us in life? We need the software, we need the words of the Lord, which are right now in the scriptures. Or if you're in India, the words of the gurus. And that's the words which you are trying to follow. Dharma Deshayana. Dhamma Nayak Ganam. So as we know, we have got Narendra Modi here, and he says, an able leader is a stable government. Dhamma Nayak Ganam. So Dhamma Nayak Ganam. So Naya means Nath. And we saw in the previous slides that Nath means leader. So you are the leader who is preaching us the religion to us. And what does that mean? That, oh Lord, I have now got faith in you. Until now, there was a lot of confusion. Who am I? Why am I here? What's my position in the universe? What's going to happen to me after this? Where did I come from? All these questions in our mind. But after listening to your words, now my soul has become stable. Until now, I used to feel sort of uneasy. What's going on? These are the kind of questions which have been, the humanity has been thinking about this for years and years. But now, you feel very stable. Now I understand who am I. I believe in reincarnation. I believe in soul. I believe in life after death. I believe in karma. Why are things happening to me? And so all these things makes your soul very stable. Then you have got the right sense to imagine how you move forward, and then your soul moves towards salvation. So essentially we are trying to say, hey Bhagwan, I've got the right leader. If I've not got the right leader, I've got nothing to worry about. So just in the political world, you have got an able leader, then you've got a stable government. In the same way, spiritually, I have now got you as a Lord. And that's why I get here, Uvasakrama, Bhave Bhave, the તમારો શરણ મળે. ભવે ભવે પાસ અગીને ચંદ. All what I'm praying for is that every single birth I want to have your shelter. And that's what we say in Uvasakram Stotra. Again, when we sort of look at this, finding the Lord, it's almost, if you look at mathematics, statistically speaking, it's a very rare thing. I was born as a human, for me to have the right senses, for me to have been born in a cultured family. So it's almost like finding a diamond in the stone. That for you to have that conviction, that I really now found the right faith. And then having a strong conviction in it. And this conviction is not blind faith. And that's very important here. The religion is very open to say, do not take the word for it. Read other scriptures. Read everything else. If you want to do comparative religions, I mean, for my studies, we have to do comparative religions. Learn about other faiths. And then you make up your independent decision. Don't just take it through. Those are the words of even Lord Mahavir. That do not take my word for it. Experience truth for yourself. Dhamma sara heenam. So dhamma means, again, so it's common. Dharma. Sarthi. What's a sarthi? So when you have a horse and you've got a chariot, so the person who is actually directing the horse is known as a sarthi. So you are like, in the path of religion, you are like my sarthi. You are the person who is taking to the path. Suppose I'm on a chariot here. And if you look at the chariot, then what you have is one of the reins. So in a different way you can look at it, that the reins control the horses. And what you want to do spiritually, you want to control your karmas. So there's ashra and samvar. You want to stop the karmas coming in. So those are the reins. But on the other hand, if you actually let loose, then the horse is going to go forward. So you also want to move forward spiritually. And how do you move spiritually? It's nijara. Whatever karmas you have done so far, you want to get rid of those karmas. So this depiction, in our Nav Tattva, 3 of them are already depicted over here. That you want to control your karmas, those are the reins of the horses. That stop ashra and samvar. Stop the karmas, stop the inflow of the karmas coming in, and then remove. And whatever karmas we have done, that cannot be undone. So how can I get rid of those karmas? Through nirjara. So what we are saying is that one, if someone has got a very deep devotion, you will find ways. So from whatever reason. So for example, we are very fortunate here. If you look at the people who came here in 1960s and 70s, religion was quite scarce. People had to start eating to meat. It was a question of survival. We are so fortunate here, after about 30-40 years of sort of Asians in this country here, we now have a religion. And then it's very widespread. I'm sure as you realize that when you were growing up, it was more difficult, but for your children, it's much more easier now, the words of the religion. So, in a way, it also shows that when Bhagwan Mahavir went to the forest, he went to Chandakoshik, and Chandakoshik was a poisonous snake, and we know the story of Chandakoshik. What happened? Bhagwan Mahavir actually went to the forest and told Chandakoshik, Buj, 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 which means wake up, wake up, wake up, get rid of your anger. So which shows that if someone, when you want religion, Bhagwan tamari paase avse. Even if you don't, the snake did not have to go to Lord Mahavir, okay, please redeem me, I'm a snake, how can I get rid of my karma, and how can I... Bhagwan Mahavir came to Chandakoshik. So tamara karma ocha thase, you start making your efforts towards the path of religion. Circumstances and environment and nature will help you to move towards the path of religion. That's the conviction which a lot of people have. So, Dhamma Sara Heenam. So, essentially what it says is, hey Bhagwan, you are like a sarthi to me. Yeah, it's like, there's a horse and you are like the person who is guiding me through. So, it's giving that analogy that in this, we are Dhamma Sara Heenam. So the next one in Namuthunam is Dhamma Vara Chauranta Chakavatinam. Dhamma means Dharma, Vara Chauranta. So Char, you can see Char is 4 and Ant means end. And Chakavatinam. And Chakavati means Chakravarti. Now Chakravarti is a very sort of, it comes quite frequently in the scriptures. And the way to describe that is Chakravarti means like an emperor, like Napoleon. So we have personalities in our history that Chakravartis were very, very powerful kings. Almost that they were, you could have ordinary kings, but they were like emperors. And what we believe is, a lot of people have seen Mahabharata, that there is a chakra. So what we believe, or what's written in the scriptures, is that these powerful kings actually had chakra, divine chakra, which is a weapon. And once when they have that in possession, there is no one who can actually defeat them. So those are the Chakravartis in a physical sense. But what we are saying is, Bhagwan, you are now Chakravarti. You are the most powerful, not a king, spiritual king. So you are now the most spiritual king who is now going to end my 4 ants. When we move into humans, 4 gatis, you are the one who is going to get rid of this 4 gati. So this is saying you are like a Chakravarti, but a spiritual Chakravarti, not a physical. If you are a physical Chakravarti, you will have lots of empires. You are almost like the empire of the entire universe. But you are like this. There is a very nice story that Lord Rishabdev's son, Bharat, he was a Chakravarti. And when he became a Chakravarti, the soldiers came to him and said, Bharat Maharaj, in our storehouse, the chakra has appeared. So now, which is a sign that you are now become a Chakravarti. We have now got this weapon. And with this weapon, you are now going to, all the kingdoms are going to come under you. So you will now going to be the sovereign king. What a great news that now going to become a Chakravarti. Simultaneously, he gets a news in the court saying, Bharat Maharaj, Lord Rishabdev, your father, has actually attained Kevalgnan. At this stage, he had taken Diksha, and at this stage in time, he's got Kevalgnan. At the same instance in time, he gets 2 pieces of news. One is he's become a Chakravarti, and the second one is his father has got Kevalgnan. And you can imagine that rather than the pride that I am now the sovereign king, he had the humility saying, let me go and pay respect to my father. He's got Kevalgnan, and then we'll celebrate me becoming a very sovereign king. When you become a sovereign king, if you want to achieve success as a sovereign king, you have to have a strategic and logical approach. So imagine that he has got the chakra, and now people in the warfare have to have a lot of strategic and logical approach to achieve success. But in the spiritual world, it's a magical approach. Our mind cannot think. Once a lot of people say, and they have been cured. People recite mantras and they've been cured. So science and logic then cannot sort of take place in a spiritual domain. It's once when you have intense faith, then you attain a lot of success, but that in one way cannot be understood sort of logically. So this one is saying that Brahma, so Tirthankar Maharaj says, you are now a Chakravarti to me, and you are a spiritual Chakravarti who is going to end my 4 gatis. So this is another one, Appadiya Varanana Dansana Dharananam. So these are about 3 or 4 words put together. Appadiya. And Appadiya means indestructible, constant. Appadiya Varanana. Nana means Nan, Gnan, knowledge. And Dansana. Dansana means darshan. So we know Gnan and darshan. Samyak darshan, Gnan, Charitra. So darshan and Gnan. Appadiya. Appadiya means indestructible. You are someone who has got knowledge and darshan. Darshan means vision, intuition. Knowledge is just like the kind of the knowledge here, but you got the path of the soul, intuition. You know what's going to happen in the future, in the past. Indestructible. Now, Appadiya means it's the best. There's nothing. When you are humans, there's a universal maxim that where there are variations, then there is choice. And where there is choice, there is climax. So like good, better, best. A lot of people believe, mine's the best car, mine's the best house. So whenever there is choice, there is always this thing, this is good, this is better, this is best. Even in states, this is the tallest building, this is the shortest building. So you always have comparisons when you have got choices and varieties. Even in numbers, 1 to 10, is it the ultimate number? No, numbers can go on, there's hundreds, there's thousands. Let's look at Einstein. Einstein came up with a very sort of E is equal to mc squared, very clever person. Is his knowledge everlasting? When Einstein dies, and suppose Einstein is reborn again, Einstein will have to start learning A, B, C, D all over again to come up with the same solution again. So Einstein's knowledge was not indestructible. Even our acharyas, they have a lot of knowledge. People who have written the scriptures and agams, very, very clever people. But is their knowledge permanent? No. When the acharya dies, the knowledge goes with them, and if they were born again as humans, they'll still have to learn the Sanskrit letters, alphabets again, and start all over again. So the knowledge which, no matter we have, or even many of the important people, clever people, that knowledge is still not permanent. It's prone to go away. But our knowledge, that's what said Keval Gnan, that was ultimate knowledge. Lords are abode of supremest, indestructible, everlasting knowledge. So we are now praying to Lord, that tomorrow your knowledge, I have now got full faith in you. Because your knowledge is indestructible. It's not prone to error. Viyata Chaumanam. So this is another one. Viyata Chaumanam. So Viyat means devoid and Chaumanam, Chatmas. Now Chatmas is a technical word. What means Chatmas means wavering, changing. So what it shows is even when Bhagavan Mahavir was born, until the time of his Diksha, he was not a perfect pure being. There must have been some flaws in him, within him. So that we are all Chatmas. Chatmas means we are not perfect. We might be good in certain things, but we are not good in all the things. It's only when Bhagavan got Kevalgan did he become perfect soul. So all of us, so Viyata, so you are, Viyat means you are without the Chatmas sin. So you are the person who does not have all these fluctuations in life. You are now a pure soul and you're always going to be a pure soul. There's never going to be any fluctuation in that. And this is a very important part because Hindu philosophy, Bhagavan avatar kero, Arthma, avatar. Jains don't believe in avatar. There's a lot of bad things happening in the universe right now. The universe is there's a lot of destruction, and now God's going to be born here. No. What we believe is, if a God has gone into Sikshila, is a pure soul, how can something which is totally pure get tainted? What would make the Lord come down on earth? That cannot happen. Yes, our Dev Devi, they are still not perfect souls. Dev Devi still come to earth. But our pure souls who are in Sikshila, they cannot come back down to earth. So what we say, Viyakta Chaumanam. So Viyat means you are without Chatmas state. You don't have any fluctuations. You are now a pure soul. And that's where we keep paying obeisance to you. Jinnanam Jabayanam, Tinnanam Darayanam, Buddhanam Mohayanam, Buddhanam Boganam. This is a very, very beautiful analogy. The first one is Jinnanam Jabayanam. Jit. So Jin means Jit. Jit means victor. You became victorious yourself. And very important, so that's the first one. Jinnanam Jabayanam. Which means you became a victor, but you are also now going to make me victorious. Tinnanam Darayanam. You swam across the sun. You went through all your births cycles and you had all these cycles. You went through all the 4 gatis. So you swam across all the oceans. You became pure. You are now going to help me. So the comparison is both ways. First of all, you conquered yourself. You became pure, and now you are helping me to become pure. And that's the reason, that's the most important part. That's why they are called Tirthankars. Tirthankars are the leaders who show us the path. It's not a selfish attitude. Yes, that's it. I've done my duty. You guys sort yourselves out. So it's not that. You conquered yourself. You are helping me to conquer. You swam across all this ocean of sansar. You are now helping me to cross it. Buddhanam Mohayanam. You got the right faith. You are instilling the right faith in me. Muttanam Mohaganam. Muttana means mukti. Mukti means freedom. So you got free from your karmas. You are helping me to get free from my karmas. So so the first part is always to do with him. You've done this, and the second one is you are helping me to do that. This is very important because if you look at our current, say, if there's someone very clever right now, a professor, but the professor is still not perfect. He could make a mistake and say, this is what research says, this should be done, and further research is done, and they'll say exactly the opposite thing. So the comparison here is that in a physical way, we cannot have anyone perfect. If you look at GPS, this is a nice one. If you look at the GPS, we have got a lot of faith in our technology right now. And what does the GPS say? Not a true road. Your GPS is wrong, dead end. So it just shows that in science, we have a lot of faith in science, but science is still not the ultimate answer. It is really the religion. It's really the religion which says, hey Bhagavan, that these are the 4 analogies. Jit, Tad, Buddhanam, and Muttanam Moganam. Sabba Nunam, Sabba Darishinam. So Sabba means all. Okay, Namo Lohe Sabba Sabunam. Sabba means all. Nunam, Gnan. And Sabba Darishinam. So as you can see, if you go into it slowly and slowly, even this kind of cryptic prayers can start making sense to you. You can now start understanding through a little bit of knowing Gujarati, you can know Sabba means all. And this knowledge can apply to everything. So I say Sabba Bhava Panasano. Sabba means all. It's the same Sabba. Sava Nunam. Nunam એટલે જ્ઞાન. And it's rhyming also. So આપણા ભગવાન જે છે, they've got the all knowledge and all darshan. Now, what we are is we have personality. And if you look at the root of personality, what personality means comes from the Latin word persona. And persona means facade. Like, if I want to be here, so my true identity, I don't want to portray it to you. So I've got a persona here. I've got a facade. So if you ask my wife, she'll say the exact opposite of who I am. Oh, Rajeev is बहुत सारा. But if you ask home, then they'll give a total different picture. Rajeev is खराब छे, आम छे. So so it's quite common to know that here I am trying to portray a certain kind of a picture. But you go somewhere else, you ask the children give a different perspective. Oh, that's very strict, that's like this, that shouts. So it's a different persona. But our Bhagwan they have got they don't have any pretense. They do not have to show anything. What it is, this is pure souls. They do not have to make any do not have to portray anything. Let me show my intelligence to them. No. I am what I am. I'm not the pure soul. I see everything as it is. So they know and perceive all substances, modes and qualities as they are without attachment and hatred. So that's really the root of our vitrag. Our vitrag. Vit means without, rag means attachment or hatred. So and they know and perceive all substances. Substances means jeev and ajeev. So they can know all the matter and souls. So that's what we mean by Keval Gnana. So our Tirthankar Bhagwan they know about everything in the past, present and the future. But I mean, this is not the scope of this lecture right now, but it's a very interesting question. But they do not interfere with free will, free choice of freedom. ભગવાનને બધું ખબર જ છે કે શું થવાનું છે, તો why do you have to study for the exams tomorrow? ભગવાનની ઈચ્છું છે થશે, whatever God wishes, that's going to happen. No, you have to do your own efforts, and through your own efforts you will achieve it. The Lord has seen it, but the Lord is not interfering with your choice. That's a very important criteria here. Otherwise people can become sort of blasé. Why do I need to do everything? જે માઇન્ડું છે, મારા લખાયેલું છે, અને એ જે થવાનું છે થશે. Why do I have to do any efforts? So Sabba Nunam Sabba Darshinam. The other one is oh yeah, this is Shiva Mayala Maru Mananta Mukhaya Mavaba. So Shiva Mayala Maru Mananta Mukhaya Mavaba Mapuna Siddhi Nam Devdhanam Sampatanam. So now these are, it's quite interesting here. If you look at it, these are quite a few adjectives. Siva, Mayala, Marva, Mananta, Makhaya, Mavaba. Now let's imagine that you were actually trying to use Sanskrit and you were looking up Siva, Mayala. What does these words mean? What do each of these individual words mean? Siva, Mayala, Marva, Mananta, Makhaya, Mavaba. To understand that, let me first of all give an example in English. In English, you can have monkey and the plural of monkey is monkeys. If you have money, the plural of money is monies. Why isn't it M-O-N-E-Y-S? It's actually M-O-N-I-S. Why is that? So that's the rule of English. Similarly, in Sanskrit, these are actually different words. The first word is Siv, Shiva. The next one is Achal, Ayal. Then the other one is Aruva. So there is no M in between. But the rule in Sanskrit says, the first word is Siva, it ends in A. The next word is Ayal, Achal. And what does Achal mean? આપણે ગુજરાતીમાં કે મન બહુ ચંચલ છે. Chanchal means wavering. So exactly opposite of chanchal means achal. Achal means stable. So in Gujarati આપણે કે is a very chanchal છે. Chanchal means he cannot make his mind. He's wavering. So that's chanchal. And the opposite of chanchal means achal. So achal. So the words are Siva, Achal. So here got Siva and Achal. Ends in A and begins with A. And because of the ruling in Sanskrit, it says you've got something ending in A, beginning with A, remove the A and join it with Ma. So Siva, Mayala. Again the next one. So the second one is Achal and then Aruva. So again it ends in A and begins with Aruva. Again A and A, remove the A and it says Siva, Mayala, Maruva. So that's where the M comes in. So M is the joining word in all of them. Siva, Mayala, Maruva. The other one is Maruva and Anant. So Aruva and Anant. And because both of them, one ends in A and beginning with A, then the joining word is Ma. So again you can see Siva, Mayala, Maruva, Mananta, Makhaya. So the actual word is Akhar. So you can see the actual words are Sivam, Ayalam, Aruvam, Ananta, Akhai, Avava, Apunaraviti. All of them, so the first ends in A, the other one begins in A, and therefore the joining word is Ma. So what does it mean? Siva. So if someone says, can you please describe what is heaven? what is how is Sichila? Suppose if you type it in Google, or if you have got Apple phone and if you type it in Siri, Siri, can you please tell me, can you describe heaven? Obviously Siri is not going to give you the answer. But if you ask from a scriptural point of view, there are 7 adjectives which they are given for what is Sichila like. Shiva. Shiva means free from calamities, constant healthy. It's no karma. It's absolutely Shiva. It is totally peaceful. So Shiva, Achal. Achal means instability. So there is no instability in Sichila. Everything is just pure. Aruvam. Aru means aroga. Rog means disease. And arog means no disease. So in heaven there is arujam. Arujam means no body, no diseases. Then Anant. Everything is infinite. Infinite knowledge, infinite of everything. Infinite bliss, infinite energy. Akshaya. Akshaya means imperishable. Shay means to destroy. And Akshaya means the opposite, which means indestructible. Avyabad, free from problems. A point of no return. That's a very important one. So Avyabad means a point of no return. Once when you go to Sichila, you don't come back. It's a point of no return. So it's free from problems, free from disturbance, and everything. So these are the 7 adjectives given, and it was interesting to know that sometimes if you were like studying this prayer, you can know that why is it Siva. Because otherwise if you went into the Sanskrit dictionary, you'd not find a word which is Maya, Maruva, Mananta. So there is no words like that. M is the joining between all these different adjectives. And the reason is because of that. And again, if you start wondering why is that, again in English, there are again different rules which are given. Namo Jinam Jiya Bhayanam. This is now coming towards the end of the prayer now. After praising the Lord with all these different adjectives, now we are saying Namo Jinam, I'm bowing down to you, Jiya Bhayanam. You fear, where does fear? Fear is always in the 4 gatis. But when you're in the Lord's shelter, then you are fearless. So we are bowing down to someone who has now become fearless. And sometimes Sadhgurus used to say that sometimes we have fears of different things. And Kali Aj Kai Bolavi, Namo Jinanam Jiya Bhayanam, this in itself becomes a mantra. That's what Sadhgurus was saying. That we have got fear of exams, fear of diseases, fear of anything. And once when you've got any fear, just reciting Namo Jinanam Jiya Bhayanam, this in itself becomes a mantra for you to overcome your fear. And now is Jaya Ayya Siddha, Jaya Bhavisanti Anagaya Kale, Sampaya Vattamana, Savve Tivena Vandami. So this is now really the last verse of the prayer. And what is it saying? Jaya Ayya Siddha. Whoever are the seeds in the past, whoever are the seeds of the future, Jaya Siddha, Jaya Bhavisanti Anagaya Kale. So of the future, Sampaya Vattamana, Savve Tivena Vandami. Savve means all, Tivena. Tivena means by 3 ways. In Pratikaman, it comes very, very frequently. Tvena. Tvena means by 3 ways. Man, Vachan and Kaya. Mind, body and speech. I'm bowing down. Sabbe Tvena Vandami. And this in itself becomes a very, very important prayer. If you look at it, a lot of Narendra Modi, when he gave a speech at the Madison Square, what did he say? Think global, buy local. So that's what he was saying. Think global, buy local. He wants to support the Indian economy. But think global. Similarly, look at this prayer here. By our bowing down to the Lord, it's a very small act. Here I am a small person. Who am I? Like Acharya Mantung in Bhaktama Stotra. Who am I? I'm a very mere soul. I don't have much knowledge. I am bowing down to the Lord. But who am I bowing down to? The Lords of the past, of the future. All the seeds of the past, of the future. What a great vision. All the Siddha souls of the future, all of them, I am now bowing down to you. So this in itself, if you project yourself, here I am a very small person, in a very small sort of point of time, but yet projecting to all the souls of the past and for the future, and that in itself makes it such a grand kind of thing, that with this little bit of obeisance, here I am, and I'm bowing down to you, with such humility. So I think that's the end of Namuthunam finally. So as you said, as Albert Einstein said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. So I hope you all understood Namuthunam.
Actually,